Hi, I'm Samuel C. Spitali, author of How to Win the War on Truth. In this video, we'll look at the truth about the War on Christmas. The purported War on Christmas claims that the greeting, Happy Holidays, which is used by corporations to be more inclusive during the holiday season, is actually anti-Christmas or anti-Christian. But the Happy Holidays greeting, as well as its resistance, dates back more than a century. In the 1920s, infamous anti-Semite Henry Ford blamed such anti-Christmas leanings on who else but the Jews. After World War II, such blatant attacks on Jewish people became less socially acceptable, so attackers had to be more subtle with their anti-Semitism. So they blamed the communists, which had long been coded language for liberal Jews. Paranoid conservative groups like the John Birch Society claim that communist agents were trying to, quote, take the Christ out of Christmas. They saw communist plots everywhere, from the Eisenhower administration to the fluoridation of drinking water to giving black people the vote. And much like communist paranoia, the war on Christmas is largely imaginary. For a deeper dive into communist paranoia, check out my video on red baiting. For the most part, the anti-Christmas hysteria remained on the fringe until Fox News, always on the search for a new issue in which to enrage its audience, found their first seasonal boogeyman in the war on Christmas. The holiday pageantry began on December 3, 2004, in an episode of The O'Reilly Factor, 13 years before host Bill O'Reilly would step down after multiple allegations of sexual harassment. The network's coverage of a war on Christmas was fueled by another Fox host, John Gibson, who penned a 2005 book of the same name, which was an alarmist yet flimsy account of an imagined war on everyone's favorite holiday. It's probably no coincidence that the book was published during the post-9/11 years of the George W. Bush administration, hoping to cash in on the era's anti-Muslim fears. Fox ran with the story because it fit their ideological agenda, which, according to Fox insider Tobin Smith, is to emotionally manipulate the most vulnerable people in America: elderly, red state, small city, and rural living folks who self-identify as political and cultural conservatives. So, Fox tailors their programming around cultural grievances sure to enrage their audience and make them feel that they are morally, culturally, and politically under attack. Because by stoking those emotions in the viewers, the network addicts them to the dopamine rush that results, which ensures they come back each day for more. For a deeper dive into the network's manipulation tactics, check out my video on Fox News. Each holiday season, like clockwork, the network searches for obscure examples of someone in America trying to be more inclusive, so they can amplify it or distort it into a national controversy. It's a textbook example of selection bias, cherry-picking an anecdote to reinforce a preferred narrative, instead of focusing on an example that's representative of what's going on. But actual examples that fit the Fox narrative are so rare that the network often promotes stories that are entirely fabricated. In December 2010, Fox picked up one such story of a Florida elementary school that had banned traditional Christmas colors. But the network never bothered to confirm the information with the school district, who revealed that the entire thing had been made up. Likewise, the so-called War on Christmas, once dubbed an annual farce by Politico, is entirely manufactured, given that the Founding Fathers deliberately separated church and state, drawing a clear line between religion and government in the U.S. Constitution. In fact, most of them were known atheists, agnostics, and deists who rejected the supernatural. In 1797, President John Adams, with the unanimous consent of the Senate, signed a treaty that read, "The government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion." Most federal nods to religion came more than a century after the U.S. was founded. "In God We Trust" didn't appear on paper currency until President Eisenhower put it there in 1955, after relentless lobbying by religious groups. After lobbying by the Knights of Columbus, Eisenhower added "under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance, which contained no mention of a higher power when it was first written by a Baptist minister named Francis Bellamy in 1892. Eisenhower also proclaimed a National Day of Prayer in 1958 after more lobbying by Reverend Billy Graham. But in the U.S.'s liberal democracy, each person has the freedom to choose their own religion, be it Christianity, Mormonism, Scientology, or even celebrating Wookiee Life Day. Outside partisan media, there's little talk of a war on Christmas, and there is no organized effort to change how anyone celebrates the holidays. Most followers of other religions have no issue with being wished a Merry Christmas or with giving and receiving Christmas presents. And considering that 88% of Congress is Christian, compared to only 63% of U.S. adults, and 6 of 9 Supreme Court justices are Catholic, compared to only 21% of U.S. adults, Christianity and Christmas ain't going anywhere, regardless of how much partisan media would like to scare us into thinking otherwise, in order to create division where none exists. The point of Fox's War on Christmas is to pit God-fearing Christians against anyone who may worship a different version of that God. But when Starbucks prints Happy Holidays on their cups, or a school district sends out Happy Holiday cards, they are not rejecting Christmas. They are just making room for Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, nor are they excluding Christians. They are simply acknowledging that non-Christians also exist. But inclusivity and equality have always been perceived as a threat to people who view the world in a black and white, us versus them, zero-sum game. These individuals interpret such gestures as attacking their beliefs rather than accepting others' beliefs. Instead of making room for a diversity of faiths, the knee-jerk reaction is to denounce any such attempts. Because, as the saying goes, when you are accustomed to privilege, then equality, even in the form of a universal greeting like Happy Holidays, can feel like oppression. If you enjoyed this video or know someone who would benefit from watching it, please share. And to read more about misinformation and myth debunking, check out my book, How to Win the War on Truth, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.